Hey everyone, we're checking out some Demo Day 21 games. And right now we're looking at Unnamed Mecha Game, aka Mecha Game Whatever, aka I believe the last Demo Day it was Mecha Game That Should Not Exist, something like that. So various names, but this appears to be a little bit different. Let's read the game page here real quick. It says this is a demo focused on combat. In that sense, there's no real level, only an arena. You're free to set any number of each enemy up to 5, and the repeat box will spawn another wave of that same amount after you've killed them. Gamepad should be supported, but I have not been able to try it out. Okay. Well, we're gonna go ahead and try out the Xbox controller here. Controls: WASD left thumbstick move, space, right trigger move up, control left trigger move down, shift, face button right, which I guess is going to be the B button, be dash, left mouse button or bottom face button is shoot, right bumper melee, left bumper heavy melee, E or face button left to block, right thumbstick press, change weapon. Hold the button down with the stick and point it in the direction of the button. I haven't bothered to implement visuals, but it should work. Okay. Escape to pause, or presumably the pause button. And right thumbstick to change target. Okay, interesting. Right, so what I understand is that this is kind of a game that's inspired by Zone of the Enders, which is a great game. For all its flaws. Let's go ahead and get rid of that overlay. So again, I did try earlier iterations of this, but this should be a little bit different. It looks like it's a little bit washed out, but this is obviously placeholder stuff. Custom challenge, I'm guessing, is going to start it. So we have grunt, missile launcher, and repeat. I don't know if... I guess we just put numerical values in here. So if I put 1 grunt, I could do whatever, up to 5. And then repeat, is this just going to be 1 or 0? Is that the idea? 2, 23, yes. What did he say? I'll take a look at the page again. The repeat box will spawn another wave of that same after you've killed them. Okay, so it doesn't say what to enter into the box, so I don't know if it's going to be like a 0 or 1 value. Let's do this to start with. Alright. I guess that is... Ooh. Some audio in there. It's pretty darn loud. Oh my gosh, that was very loud. Holy cow. I gotta check my levels here. I might have just turned my... Okay, I can pause. Might have just turned my own volume up loud. It's not up that loud. Alright, let's... Okay, I can't unpause it. Click. Uh-oh. I was able to pause but not unpause. I don't know if the game froze up or if it just was... the pause wasn't implemented correctly. I can't seem to do anything. I can click on these, I guess. Heal, sniper, missile, SMG. P? Nope. Well, I tried the keyboard and the gamepad. I can't unpause it after... I don't know if alt-tabbing had anything to do with it, or if that's just some other kind of bug. I'm going to go ahead and alt F4 out of this. Sure. Now we're going to have to open this up again. Over here. Make sure we're hooked in. There it goes. Alright, that was strange. So yeah, that's extremely loud. It also seems a little bit uneven, the sound effect volume here, but... gosh, that in particular is extremely loud. Looks like some weird camera action. Let's see, escape, and then there's a resume button. So what is the, Okay, yeah, maybe this is something that just wasn't fully implemented here. He didn't mention he didn't test with the gamepad, unfortunately. So yeah, if I press the start button on the gamepad, it brings up this, which looks like it was supposed to be like a weapon select sort of thing, but there's like no way to get back out of it. So that's what I expected to be pause. But wait, try this. Nope, that doesn't work either. I'm trying pressing the thumbsticks in, but I think we're just gonna have to try to. You can either use the keyboard controls or just try not to pause the game, which would be a little unfortunate because I like to stop and talk about things once in a while. So I guess I'll try keyboard for now. Maybe I'll just try both. I don't know. I'm gonna try and turn down the volume here. Like a lot. Hopefully that's reasonable. I don't know. I'm just guessing. All right. I guess I'm still alive. All right. So it's a little confusing to tell which one is me. There's like this giant highlight on one guy, which is apparently like who you're locked onto, but it kind of like when you first launch the game, it doesn't. My attention is so drawn to that one guy that it makes me think that that's me, basically. What the? Oh. Is this? Was this supposed to be a joke? The little try again button running away from me? That guy's still shooting, I guess. Oh, that was weird. So yeah, I understand you want to show what is being locked onto. Oh, he's completely off the. You don't want your enemy completely off the camera if you're doing a lock-on system. But yeah, I understand wanting to. That is so loud. Oh my gosh, I understand wanting to highlight the enemy you're locked onto, but I would put more of a highlight on the player character than anything else. So it's a little jarring the way the camera kind of bounces around between its things here. I don't know. So let's shoot, and then we have. All right, you're using middle mouse button. Just kind of interesting. So yeah, it is very sudden the way it switches between the camera modes here. Go ahead and try the gamepad again. Alright, so a little different from Zone of the Enders, which used the face buttons for up and down, I remember. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of getting off the camera here. That's not good either. So I understand it's difficult to pull off. That's block. The Y, I don't remember what the Y... Maybe the Y button's not being used. Alright, that's the dash button. Alright, so one thing is I don't like how the bumpers are being used for your melee attacks. Guy's still shooting. It's annoying to listen to. For a couple of reasons. One is that the bumpers are a little out of the way. You have to kind of reach to hit them compared to the triggers. Since you're probably going to use them so often. And the other thing is that your vertical movement is on the triggers, which means you can't move vertically and use your melee attack simultaneously. You have to bring your finger off of that to hit the other button, which I would consider a downside there. Yeah, I remember in Zone of the Enders when they use the face buttons, you can still like hold the top or bottom face button and like hit the left or right buttons pretty easily. Like that's not a hard thing to do for someone who's used to playing console games. So you know, something to consider. I don't know what is going on. Lots of explosions. I'll try spawning one of these guys. Uh-oh. Yeah, this got kind of bugged out, so like that try again thing is... Oh great, can I... Alright, this seemed to reset the game, that's good. Alright. Alright, do this, I'm gonna use the gamepad again. Oh, that's for blocking, right. Again, I don't think he's using the Y button, is that right? Kind of dash, kind of tried to say dodge and dash at the same time, which is dosh. Oh, that was a very fast attack. There's very little, what is it? Oh, I made two of them? How do you... Oh, I can move the camera. What, something else shot at me, right? The heck was that? I could move the camera. So when I'm like back far away, I can't move the camera with the right stick, so it's a little inconsistent. Up here I can when I get closer. Unfortunately, like, when it moves to this camera angle, controls do feel a little bit different because they feel it's sort of like they switch into almost a more of a world space movement rather than like relative to the lock-on. And if I'm going to compare it again to Zone of the Enders, which I understand it doesn't need to be exactly like Zone of the Enders, obviously. I haven't played that game in a long time, so I don't really remember how they handled it. I kind of wish I did because I'd like to compare it because they made the combat work really good in that game. So the dodging does feel fun. You can dodge up and down. Yeah, it feels a lot of fun to dodge stuff. So that's good. We'll do this again. Well, where... I forgot to... Oh shoot, I hit that button. Dang it. Great, alright. I think I forgot to spawn any enemies, but I had to close and relaunch the game here. Let's make sure we're hooked in. There we go, alright. Try to actually kill the guy here. I guess I can... which button to switch here? So I don't know if this is just infinite right now, the blocking. There's like no downside to it, maybe. I just ate all of those. Hey, I really don't like the melee being on the bumpers. Like, I want to just like mash the X button here. Alright, so... So this is presumably your strong attack. It's actually pretty fast. Like, it's not even immediately obvious that it's a strong attack compared to this. You can tell it's slightly slower in terms of repetition. But it's only slightly, so... You could definitely emphasize that a lot more. And let's just shoot out backwards. The Zone of the Enders game had a bit of a charge up time for the big attack, which makes sense in the context of combat because it means you can't just get it off whenever you want to. You have to like use it carefully. It's mainly used for like getting rid of shields or like shielding enemies, or enemies that are like otherwise stunned, I guess, maybe. So that gives you a good reason to not use it unless it's a good time to. Another thing you could do is you could Well, I mean, upsides and downsides. I was thinking you could do like a charge attack where you just hold the button to if you hold the button, it would do a heavy attack, whereas if you just press and release, it would do a lighter attack, and you could certainly do that. It would use less buttons, but you also have the issue of the attack happening on release instead of press of the button, which means it's ever so slightly less responsive. What was that? Oh, I have like a ammunition or energy or something on that. Interesting. Alright. I hit the right button this time. Restart. Let's do like something like this. Alright. How do you... Alright, that's how you change. Alright, so this kind of target changing is pretty tough to do effectively to get it so you can really get the lock on that you want when you want to. It does work. That was a little weird for a moment there. Alright, so being too close to Mr. Machine Gun over there is not a good idea because you can't dodge the bullets when you're within a certain range. I guess the only melee... Oh, my shots hit the ground there. That's kind of unfortunate. Yeah. I guess my only ranged attack is this thing. Whoop, I think that hit me. I think my shots can hit me. So it looked like they blocked some of that. Ooh. A little hard to see. And I'm going off the screen over here. Yeah. So I'm gonna try this as a 1. Oops. Gotta hit the right buttons, these bumpers. Ooh. Couldn't see there for a moment because all the like additive blending on the particles. Oops. So I do like that there's a little sound effect when the enemy initiates their attack, so you can kind of like hear that it's about to happen. Yeah. Oh, I have to do this again. So maybe I set this to yes? Or maybe it's only when you win that it repeats. Oh, lost track of myself there. That guy shooting at me from off the screen is super annoying, because I can't see him at all. Oops, lost track of myself again. Of course, if like there was some kind of visual differentiation, that would help, obviously. Wow, that was weird. Which button is block again? So I don't really like the button layout, so it's kind of messing me up a little bit. Can I block from like behind myself, or? So I guess you take damage when you block. It's perhaps reduced. Now I did just type in 2, didn't I? But there's no enemies. I don't know what happened. Oh, I can't see. Push all the wrong buttons. Okay, so you attack twice, which is interesting. See, a lot of times they only attack once. Like they make the little sound and then they swing once, but once in a while he'll make the little sound and then swing twice, which is kind of a little bit misleading. Because there's only like the one sound, you know? Shoot. That guy did use a shot attack from really close range, which I think is what you're trying to avoid. So maybe that's something you could tweak to kind of make that work better. Still, I really hate having to use the triggers there to move up and down because I want to keep my fingers on the melee buttons to be able to activate those, and then that like discourages me from wanting to move up and down when that's kind of supposed to be kind of important. Really, that's not a good angle. So I think I can just pretty much boost like all the time if I want to. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any reason not to, except that I'm eating some of those attacks. Oh, jeez. Was that me hitting him or him hitting me? That'd be another thing that'd be nice, is to know when you're taking damage versus them taking damage, because there's like an identical sound effect there. Oh, maybe not. Oh, that's the wrong button. Right, I can move this, but I don't want to do this while I'm in the middle of a battle. Move the camera because I have to take my finger off like most of the controls. Whoa, I think he just dodged really fast after putting up the shield. I tried to hit him with the heavy attack there, and I think he just moved super fast and like punished me, which is a little weird. Yeah, and you should probably make a little bit of a penalty if you manage to get a heavy attack on their shield. They should probably be stunned for a bit there and not get knocked too far away from you, because then you can't follow up with attacks very easily. I mean, you could in theory if you gave the player enough time and they wanted to dash forward, if they knew enough to do so. Alright. Try killing one of these guys here. Oh, he has melees. I want to hit like every different button to do the things. Alright, well I don't know if he has no blocking or something. Whoa! Push the right buttons. I also don't like having to reach for the stick to change targets. It'd be nice if there was a face button that did that, probably. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe you could do like... Jeez, I keep forgetting the buttons. I can't see anyone else but this guy, unfortunately. I don't remember if Zone of the Enders... I'd like to know... when you get in the up-close sort of camera, when it sort of turns into almost like a free movement, where it's like world-based control in a sense, when that happens, it makes me think that it would be easier if it was still like left and right to rotate around the enemy and forward and back to move closer or further away. And that's the thing that I was trying to remember about Zone of the Enders, whether they did that or not, because I kind of feel like that would be a lot more natural. When you have to because of the way the combat works, like you have spacing. The spacing and distance is all pretty important. So like when you have to dash inwards, like straight at the enemy to attack or whatever, when it's that sort of free movement, it's a lot harder to do that versus just like pressing up, where you're guaranteed to go forward or towards the enemy. And likewise with moving left and right, if you're trying to dodge enemy attacks horizontally or whatnot, being able to rotate around the enemy with just a left and right movement is going to be a lot more intuitive for that, I think. So I would definitely try that out. Just keep the way that it controls when you're like further away like this, where you rotate around your lock on, and I guess you move forward and backwards, towards or away from them, that sort of thing. I think that would probably work better if that just remained consistent, regardless of where the camera is. And ooh, what did I guess I died. Okay. Oops. All right. So I'm trying to get a sense of how the the up and down movement works. Yeah, it looks like it kind of might be the same thing where if you're... What I'm wondering is whether the up and down movement works on like a spherical movement, or if it's just directly up and down. Because the benefit of the spherical movement, of course, is that you maintain the same distance from the enemy while you're moving up and down, and you kind of rotate around them. So I think that's a good idea to do that for sure. Whoops. Tried to dash there, couldn't for some reason. Yeah, I don't like moving the camera lock on. See, like when that happens, especially because of the knockback, after you break their shield with the heavy attack, it's really hard to follow up and dash towards them. Like especially if you're on like a different vertical level, because then you can't just press forward to go towards them. You have to actually like press in a diagonal direction plus press one of the up or down buttons at the same time to move in that particular direction, and that's very hard to do quickly or accurately even. So yeah, I would definitely try keeping the movement in that sort of spherical movement around the enemy, and then forward and back being towards and away from them. Just do that all the time. Oops. Interesting. Alright, so there's some other little... Oh, all these sounds. Oh, this got kind of messed up again, I guess. So the other little timing details and stuff there that's hard to really give direct feedback on because it's so like such tiny details. You know, I just be careful to make some pauses in between things. If I get hit, well, I guess you can make it, if you want, you can make it kind of forgiving if you get hit by an enemy and you don't stun too long. But of course, if you want to hit you'd probably want to have more of a stun when you do hit enemies before they do anything again. So maybe that's the case. But yeah, in general, it's sort of like there's interesting things going on in there, and the combat. Obviously, it's going to be hard to pull off, but um, you can kind of see the elements of what is supposed to be in there, and kind of how the enemies react quite quickly, and so that's pretty cool. Hopefully, the other elements that are kind of holding it back so far are things that you can figure out. I do like this sort of game for sure. Regarding the controls, I did want to mention that real quick. So just what I would suggest, I really prefer like the original Zone of the Enders controls for the layout, in particular, like on the gamepad. I kind of mentioned what I don't like, so I'll just say what I do think would work. I mean, you have, if you use the Y and the A button, with the top face button, the bottom face button for like your vertical movement, you can use the X button for your melee attack. Now what I remember, now that I think about it, is that right, okay. So they in Zone of the Enders you have a melee attack when you're up close, I believe, and then when you're further away it does like a shot, something like that. That might be wrong, but I think that's the way it is. And then like the other button is your specials or whatever. Maybe if you use like a face button for, or one of the R or L trigger, or the R or L bumper to change targets, your lock on target, because I really don't like reaching for the stick. You have to take your finger off like all the face buttons. It seems a little painful. I actually completely forgot. Let me try this again real quick. I just remember that there's a supposed to be. What are the buttons again? Alright, so I couldn't. Supposedly, if you press the right stick in and then do like a directional, it'll like change between weapons, but I couldn't figure that out. I don't know if that's gonna work on keyboard. Don't remember what it said for the keyboard controls here. B? Don't know how to. Alright, so there's this. So I think missile is kind of the default. And then we have. Alright. So that's cool. And then we have a little heal thing, I guess. So yeah, these are cool. The B key for that seems pretty ridiculous to me. It's like really far from WASD. You have to really reach for that, and I mean, you can sort of hit it with your thumb, I guess. That's pretty uncomfortable to hold that, in my opinion. Honestly, I would just use like the number buttons, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, at least people are used to doing that. It's not my favorite thing to do, but you know, I grew up on consoles, not on PC games. But yeah, I wouldn't want to take my hand completely off the WASD to reach something like that. But yeah, so in any case, yeah, hopefully you got some useful feedback from this. It certainly has cool elements in here, and I hope that you can continue to polish it up and find a way to kind of make everything work smoothly. Yeah, for me, one of just the biggest things so far right now is just the controls themselves. And were they more comfortable for me, I think I could play the game a lot more smoothly and, you know, perhaps have some different things to say about it. But that would be what I would suggest focusing on, just the controls themselves. And then if you can get those super good, then, you know, maybe focus more on the combat itself, because for me it was the controls that I think were kind of in the way. But interesting game. hopefully you'll keep working on it. I've been enjoying trying out the different demos and stuff. So yeah, hopefully it was useful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next video.